Welcome to the Grab a Hole Podcast. I'm your host, Justin S., and I'm back in the pool house alongside my two co-hosts. We are here with a full panel. Damian and David are both here tonight. He was telling the truth last week, although you may not have heard it when the audio dropped out. We apologize for last week. The audio did not hold up on David's particular stream, so hopefully this week we'll have better luck and be able to keep everybody's voice being heard. How are you guys a week removed from everything that we talked about last week?
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
Hey, at least we got the best looking winged eagle champion up there on the screen today in honor of fucking Bill Goldberg.
I had a feeling that was going to be tied together. Anybody, you just showed that picture on camera of the guys, from the Coldplay concert. And then they used AI last week and did Brett and Bill for that same edit. So
yeah, I saw that one.
I get it.
I can't hear David though. Can you guys hear him?
No. I was just saying, it seemed like he was mouthing, messing around. He was smiling about it. He didn't look confused.
Were you saying fuck Bill Goldberg? Is that what you were saying?
Is that what you were mouthing? Yeah. Move on, Bill. Well, let's take care of some.
You muscle bound freak. You strike me as a Bill Goldberg fan.
No tattoos.
No, yeah. No tribal
band.
Calm down, Braun.
Let's take care of some housekeeping before we get to the recap here. If you are listening to us on Amazon or Audible Music, thank you. Make sure that you hit the plus sign, the bell, the heart, whatever it is, so that way you get these as soon as they drop. If you are watching us on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe, so that way you get these as soon as they drop, and that way you can go ahead and hit the thumbs up. And also, obviously, subscribers and likes helps us. We're trying to continue to grow our audience and continue to grow the podcast. So please make sure to do so. And also that way you just get that notification. So you get these as soon as we drop them Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, whenever you listen to them. We're going to do things in a little bit of a different order. Normally we would just go in the order of things happen. Like we would recap SmackDown, talk about it, recap Raw, talk about it, and hit the highlights of where we want to talk about. But because the majority of what we're going to talk about tonight happened on SmackDown, we're going to talk about Raw first. We're going to go a little bit backwards, and we're going to talk about Raw first. So I'm going to go ahead and recap Raw, and then we'll hit the high points here and talk about what we liked and didn't like. So to start the show, we had Punk and Gunther's promo. Seemed a little short, straight to the point. We had AJ following around Dom. At the beginning, it was as a valet. Later, it would be a janitor. It would be an on-site doctor ringside. He would follow him around. We would have Sheamus and Rusev go head-to-head as Sheamus picked up a win. We would see the LWO become the new tag team #1 contenders. We saw Lyra and Becky. Oh, there you go. Damien's got the Mexico hat on. We would see Lyra and Becky's promo that set up their match for SummerSlam, which will be no DQ. Becky would wind up costing Bayley and Lyra the tag titles as she would get involved grabbing Lyra's leg. Karrion Kross and Sami Zayn went head-to-head. Kross picks up the win with a little help from his wife and a steel pipe. Dom winds up attacking AJ in the back as he gets cleared and makes their Intercontinental title match official for SummerSlam. And we would get a fun match of Io and Stephanie Vaquer, however you say her last name. And it would wind up ending with Chelsea and her Secret Service crew attacking and leading to Naomi and Rhea getting involved. And the show would finish with Roman Reigns and the Seth Rollins faction, sans Seth Rollins, that would go back and forth and wind up with Jey Uso making the save. When you guys saw Raw in its entirety, this week's episode went a little bit longer than normal for Raw and what they've been doing as of late. Did you feel like the way that the show was formatted and what was on the show that it warranted going longer this time around?
First of all, I must have missed that Karrion Kross Sami Zayn part. Either that I watched Raw from beginning to end and I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I wonder, I don't know if something happened that it just like on my end where it just like I don't know what the heck happened, but yeah, I mean, what's funny is it doesn't. I guess Roman was there and Punk was there, Paul was there. Raw feels like there's something missing. I don't know I don't know why. It just felt like it ran a little long, but Didn't feel like anything like really important happened this week.
David, is that how you felt also?
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a little bit of a lull right now. It's like it I know SummerSlam's coming and there are some things to get excited about, but yeah, like Raw just like you to look down all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's over, and it didn't feel like a lot of stories necessarily moved forward. At least for me. I don't know. Maybe I'm
I
just
mean,
like disenchanted a
yeah,
little bit.
with
But
SummerSlam being 11 days away, it didn't feel like they pushed the stories forward in a significant way. Like it was just kind of like they moved forward, but not
It was just there.
significantly. Like like
they
things
move
didn't
forward,
like
but they're
ramp.
not
Like things weren't
excited.
ramping up. Yeah,
They're
yeah,
not
things
getting
weren't ramping
excited.
up.
Right.
I wonder how much the Seth injury took. Like deflated everything.
Changed everything.
I mean,
do you think that his presence was enough to kind of deflate the show a bit?
I'm not saying that his presence, but maybe just I feel like they're pivoting, right? I feel like Punk Gunther was supposed to be the one of the title matches, but I think like knowing like that the outcome is going to be different now. I
Right.
think I honestly think Seth was going to cash in
Right.
on Punk. So I don't know. Everything just and I don't know. Like it feels like Roman and Punk and Seth were supposed to have their match. Roman goes over and then Seth still goes and becomes a world heavyweight champion.
Right.
Like basically screwing over him and Punk again. I don't know. It just feels flat. It just feels flat. Like I wonder if they feel it too.
Well,
Because
how
like
about the fact
there was
that
not a lot of energy in either one of those beginning first and last promo like showdowns.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot of energy in either one.
Okay.
I mean, even the fact that they switched to a or not switched to, but on Instagram is where I saw Roman like issue the tag team challenge today.
On the treadmill?
Yeah, on the treadmill, and he made that challenge. It's like, why is that happening on Instagram or on social media and not on the show? Like
right. I don't think that Seth's presence was enough to say like, oh, it had to be Seth that would be the difference. But I do think that there was a lot about Raw that kind of came off as just kind of like the promo with Gunther. Like I didn't think like the way that they went back and forth was fine, but I didn't really feel like he had an outline. Like he just kind of ended and walked away. Like it wasn't like there was a definitive like period or exclamation point at the end of that promo. It was just kind of like left him standing there and walked away from him. Like that wasn't supposed to be the end of the promo. So I think that was a little left to be desired. Then, I mean, the AJ stuff has been funny with Dom building to that. So that's been a thread woven through the episode, which I thought was, something that they've been waiting on. It was either going to be this week or next week to make it official. The Lyra Becky story has been going back and forth. That's one that's been building, but even in their promo of setting up the no DQ match, it was like, all right, I hope the match is good. Like, because this doesn't seem like it's all that great. And then they go back to this idea of Bayley and Lyra tagging together where, Lyra even says, like, we're not cool and you're trying to act like nothing happened. And it didn't make a whole lot of sense. Like,
Bayley's about to go crazy. Bayley's about to snap.
You think so? You think that's where that's headed?
She's overcompensating right now, and then she's just going to snap.
She definitely needs something.
It's going to be heel Bayley soon.
I mean, she definitely needs something, that's for sure. The Cross Sammy stuff, like, again, that's been building back and forth there. That's time. But again, Cross doesn't even get an entrance in this match. Like, you're not even going to give the guy the entrance. He's got a theatrical entrance, and you don't even give it to him. Although he did, I mean, I'm sure it'll go well with viral situations online that, he gets his nose busted and, he's got blood all over, and the wife takes, they have their moment where she winds up with the blood all over her face. And so, I'm sure that there's something there for online people, but, they're doing this thing with Sammy. Like either he even said after the fact, like, I didn't care about the win. I just want to make him say Cross was right. So this is going to keep going. But does it have the same steam or substance that it had with what he was doing kind of with the backstage stuff? Like, how many more times can you have him have a match and then, he beat him in Saudi at King of the Ring, and then now he lost to him here. So what does Sammy do in this? Like, Does that make it 1-1? And so you got to have this big moment. Like, is this going to lead to an I quit match? Like, essentially, because he's got to say Cross was right. It's kind of like, all right, I like the idea of them fighting, but give me something to sink my teeth into. What they're doing, Cross is carrying this on the promo end of things, but Sammy's just kind of there. You know who Sammy is. You know what you're going to get. He's the underdog guy. But it feels like Cross is doing all the legwork with the promos and stuff. Like, and then they just magically, they don't say, oh, like this is where they're headed. They got to have a match. They got to settle this. It's just him essentially badgering Sammy.
They got to be really careful, I think, with Sammy in this point. I think fans are so eager to want to cheer for Cross that they might start booing Sammy, which is probably something that WWE doesn't want. They probably have other. I mean, I thought the plans were for Sammy to maybe eventually get into the World Heavyweight title picture because they kept teasing that he was going to be a World Heavyweight champion. But I don't think that they want to put him on screen with Cross for very long because he might not get the reaction that they want. So that's an interesting situation that they put themselves in right there. So we'll see what they do going forward. I mean, they're not penciled in for a SummerSlam match yet, are they?
No, not yet.
We'll see.
With and Stephanie coming back to their match, where we know that Stephanie's getting the shot at Clash in Paris. So it was like, hey, this could be something. And then it was, well, Io said, let's figure it out now. I thought that was a fun way to do things, but to sit there and let them actually go at it and then break it up with that, like, I get the idea of like, this match isn't going to go all the way through because if they do that. But to you, David, was this an indicator that it was possible that they were foreshadowing, like, here's a little bit of this match because it's probably not really happening at Clash in Paris because Io's not going to have the title by then? Right, because Io and Naomi and Rhea have the match at SummerSlam. So they kind of gave this Io match kind of foreshadowing, like, she's probably not going to be the one with the title by the time we get to Clash in Paris.
But they still wanted to protect Io to an extent because they didn't let either, and Stephanie, because they didn't let either one of them take an actual pinfall and let it end in DQ and stuff like that.
Right.
This is a problem I have with what's going on in wrestling recently is too many people are getting protected with run-ins or, DQs and things like that. It's okay to take a loss from time to time against top tier competition and come back and win. Like, it's believable to say, hey, you know what? Maybe you let Io win this match going into SummerSlam so she looks stronger on paper going into the match. And then, Stephanie Valkyrie gets an opportunity to do something, get back after SummerSlam, whether Io's the champ or not. However, you can still make her look strong moving forward. I don't like all this run in and, we got to protect everybody all the time.
Right.
It's like, it's okay to lose as long as you understand how to build the story from that loss and not let it like set a tone.
Damian, how do you like that they're using Chelsea Green, who's on SmackDown, to have somewhat of a little bit of an angle with Stephanie to kind of hold her over until they get to Clash in Paris?
Yeah, I like the idea of Stephanie and Chelsea having a little feud. I hope they put them on SummerSlam. I feel like they have to put Stephanie on SummerSlam to showcase her leading into the Paris match. And Chelsea Green's a perfect person to do it with. And then she's got the Secret Hervis with her, so it makes it believable that Chelsea could get a win on Stephanie, right, with the three of them together.
With help, yeah.
It's a good feud. I hope they get a match. I'll never complain about Chelsea Green being on my TV screen or Stephanie Valkyrie. So more of them, the better.
Fair enough. When we saw Roman on the docket for Raw, David, you're somebody who, between the three of us, you're usually the first one that if something seems flat to you or doesn't come off well, you're usually the first one to say something amongst the three of us. When you saw that Roman was going to have a promo segment, because obviously he's not wrestling on a Raw for no reason, did you expect the promo to be between him and Heyman, him by himself? Or did you expect it to kind of see the two Bronson and Braun with Heyman, and then they were going to have more of a back and forth than what they actually had?
Yeah, I thought it would be more of Heyman and Roman just because Heyman can kind of carry a promo a lot better. And like you can still have Braun out there as your enforcer, Braun and all that stuff, but most of the dialogue between those two. I thought it was interesting the way that Braun took the mic from Paul and stuff like that. It was very like alpha kind of esque, where he stood in front, put his hand out, and handed it to him. So you could tell that they're trying to kind of push Braun into that role right now, which tells me, side note, that Seth is probably more injured than we think, and that he's not coming back ASAP, because I don't think that this was the intention, is to push that right now. And so, yeah, like, the two of them aren't the best talkers in, wrestling. And so it fell a little flat without Heyman to kind of pump it back up.
Right.
Like, if Heyman had a mic, Braun had a mic, and Roman had a mic, I thought that would have worked better. But taking Heyman out of it for that portion, I didn't think that that was the right call.
Damian, did you feel, or do you feel rather, that since this inception of this Seth Rollins faction, we'll call them, and Heyman siding with Seth, that they haven't done, not only on Monday, but they haven't done a good job of how they're using Heyman? I mean, he's there to be a hype guy. He's there to elevate whoever he's working with. And it makes sense to have him be the mouthpiece for somebody like a Bronson or somebody like a Braun Breaker. But Seth doesn't necessarily need that. But what he does need is somebody that can kind of be the guy that helps him pull strings and be the guy that's got stroke with people and can be the manipulator to other people and be in other people's ear. But so far, he's just been window dressing to Seth. And I thought for sure in this instance that, like David said, that there would be more of a back and forth with Heyman and Roman, and the other two would be there just to kind of be Heyman's backup and make sure he didn't get touched. Do you feel like they executed Monday well, and do you feel like they've done a better job than what I am seeing with Heyman since the inception of this group?
Yeah, I mean, how much Heyman is too much, though? I know he's there. I know we all want to hear him talk. That's what he does well. But to your point, they didn't need him with Seth. Seth can carry the majority of the talking, and he can just kind of be there. I wonder, Heyman's just around, that he was around for the separation between Seth and Braun. Right, he's there, but I think the real big play here is when Braun was going to turn or whatever, or leave Seth with Paul. And that was going to be where you got to use Paul a lot. Maybe somewhere whenever down the line, a few months down the line or whatever. Right. So I don't have a problem with the way he's been used. I thought they would use him more on Monday night. Like, I thought he would talk more, give more of a reason why he bailed on Roman and like tell him to his face. But yeah, the whole thing, it was fine. It moved the story forward, but it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't exciting. It didn't like make me say I want to see this tag team match even more. Like,
I'm gonna go as far as to say that it was messy for what those guys are used to being as far as the standard and putting on a promo, especially Roman and Heyman. Like, it was messy. Like, yeah, the end result was Jay making the save, and you would see, again, double spears where they're standing tall at the end, and like David said, that it leads to social media and Roman laying out the challenge for the tag match, which at this point we kind of expected that him helping Jay helping him, that's where this was headed. But I feel like it was messy, that him calling Heyman a dumbass was like, all right, like, you're not the wise man, you're a dumbass now. Okay, I'll give you that. Heyman kissing his ass and still calling him the tribal chief, still showing him all this respect. Like, I understand it if you were going to let Heyman talk more, where he was going to give him those compliments, but more as a backhanded compliment of, you're not that guy now. You weren't that guy after you lost the title to Cody, and so on and so forth. And then go on this idea of why, like you said, he's explaining why he chose to side with Seth. Roman brings up that he chose to defy him by choosing Punk, but he didn't choose Punk. He chose Seth. So to me, that didn't even make sense in the whole idea. That was a blip in the story with Roman, as it was a major piece in the Punk story. So to me, it didn't fit here. Like, you could say, like, when he's telling Braun, he's going to do to you what he did to me, and then he explains that it was him choosing Punk. That wasn't the problem. The problem was that he wound up with Seth. Punk was just the catalyst in between to get to Seth. So did he really choose Punk in the end of all of this? Not really. Like it was just a favor, and it was the favor for Roman. So now you have Roman somewhat being idiotic in the promo to think that like it wasn't him. He's not doing that's not the cool Roman of like I am who I am. That's him being idiotic to think that he didn't have a hand in the Punk situation. He needed the favor for War Games. They made it happen. They got the win. So that's why the Punk situation was there. He just tried to wash his hands of it is why it wasn't there, but that's not who he finished with. Heyman finished with Rollins, not Punk. So Punk got fucked, just not as bad as Roman. And I think that that made it even messier. And then you had Braun multiple times. I get the one time where he's got to be held back and you give him like, hey, you're not ready yet. You're not there, kid treatment. But he did it multiple times. Like he didn't know what else to do. And besides stand there and look big. And so he kept doing it. And then Roman had to tell him, like, do it again. And, you know, I'm going to do something to you. At one point, he mouthed at him like Braun did. And he was like, I'll rip your fucking head off. And then Roman mouthed back to him, I'd like to see you try. Like, why is that being mouthed and not being said? Like, this was too much Roman.
There's a big issue, though, with also, again, and this is beating a dead horse here, but when Roman's gone so long, and you have these huge gaps. It's like, yeah, there's story you're trying to pull meat off of bone that is 3 months old or 2 months old now.
Right.
You know, and it's like, there's not a lot of fresh material for them to really build this promo off of. At least with Heyman and Roman, you have all this history. But when you add in Braun and Braun's trying to like work this promo segment, but he doesn't have a lot to really pull from. Right. Other than, okay, yeah, I speared your ass and you disappeared for 2 months or whatever and all that. But there's not enough of a story there because Roman's not around to build it. And this is the problem. And everybody's like, oh, Roman's full-time up until through SummerSlam now. And it's like, okay, so he's here 3 times. Right. For a total of 15 minutes of total airtime if you don't include his intro.
Right, yeah. That's good.
You know, so that, like, that falls on Roman and WWE for not giving, like, I'm not saying Braun's a great talker by any stretch, but like you're giving him nothing to work with. You're giving him scraps at best and telling him, you know, make chicken salad out of chicken shit.
You know what, David? Roman was home raising the next generation of bloodline.
I hate that fucking like, I hate that like throwaway line to say, explain why he's gone so much. It's like, you know what? Then go raise the future bloodline and let other people do things and let the bloodline come back in 20 years and be.
I will say, they finally got the Roman pop that they wanted like 10 years ago. That acknowledge me pop when he says acknowledge me and the crowd goes fucking crazy. Right. Like they finally did it. He's a white meat babyface and he's playing a white meat babyface. There's no depth to his character anymore. There was a lot of depth when he was the tribal chief, right?
Right.
What is he? He calls himself the original or the only tribal chief?
No, it's not even that. It's like
tribal
TC1.
chief 1, TC1.
Yeah, it's something.
He's not he's not that character anymore, right? He's not playing the tribal chief character anymore. So there's a lack of depth there to his character. He's just a white meat baby, and that's the problem, right? WWE does this all the time. When you become a white meat baby face, there's no depth to your character. You're just a good guy. You pander to the crowd, and you look like an idiot when you're, confronting heels. And that's just who he is right now.
At this point, I don't know how you could be the chief of a tribe when there's no fucking tribe around you.
Dude, like I love. Speaking of, I love what they're doing with Solo and like the other tribes at home. But I love what they're doing with Solo and his, that story. He's the tribal chief.
That's at least something different. Like that's at least something where they took his character and went, that wasn't working, and they found his personality and they were like, how do we do that on TV? And he's been, to me, he's had one of the biggest growths recently in character development. Like that's
they let him be a character. Right now, Roman's playing the white meat baby face, so there's not a lot of growth there. He's just he's not the focus of the storyline, right? The whole storyline was around Paul Heyman and Seth and Braun and Bronson. So he was just kind of like a supporting character there. I don't know what kind of a shift they made going forward, but we're talking a lot about a supporting character right now. He's not the main character in this place. So
let me ask you this: you brought up the pop for the acknowledge me thing. He brought up Jay, and the crowd immediately started doing the E, and the wide shot showed the entire crowd on that hard camera side doing it. It wasn't like, it was kind of scattered. And like, would you say that it is I don't know if it's equal to, but it's at least on the top 3, top 5 level of reactions. That was just mentioned in a promo. That wasn't even Jay cubbing out, and they did that.
Yeah, Jay is as over as Daniel Bryan was during the Yes Movement. Like the way Daniel Bryan got this going, that's as over as that was then. Like,
look for an
he's
ATM
over
from our bank, or we'll have to pay a small fortune.
What was that?
David's watching some porn over there.
Uh-oh.
No. It's ad that popped up. I thought
that'll be edited out in post.
But yeah, I mean, when they said his name and everybody just started yeeting and he had to pause and wait for it, I mean, he's got the best entrance right now. He's got the fans, involved in everything that he's doing. So, you know what? They better go win this tag team match, and Jay better get himself right back into the title picture.
Well, you brought up Solo, so let's move on to SmackDown. And this is definitely where the meat of the conversation is going to be. So SmackDown opens with a car accident, and everybody's favorite MFT, Botchaloa, some people call him Tongaloa.
Can I say something real quick, just before we move off Raw?
Okay.
You had a whole promo with CM Punk and Gunther, and we didn't even, gloss over it at all. That's how irrelevant that match is now.
Yeah, right now.
Feeding into that. I'm just saying.
The
fact that we didn't talk about it at all.
Listen, that match is completely feeding off the speculation of whether or not Seth is actually hurt to cash in or not. That's the only thing that gives that match legs.
And there's no real life heat between Punk and Gunther, right?
No.
Punk has had real life heat with everybody that he's been involved with since he's come back. And this is just a wrestling rivalry, a wrestling story that they have nothing to really go off of. So
he's openly said he respects him in the work that he does in the ring.
Yeah, there's nothing really there for them to just go off on each other about.
Right. And
the reality era is over, right? The reality era is over.
Yeah.
Punk's already said everything he can say.
What's that, David?
It's just another flat build and just kind of going into the theme of what was wrong with Raw. It wasn't anything that stood out.
Yeah, no, 100%. And not to mention, Gunther's not a great promo.
He's good. He's solid, but he's good. But he's not he's gonna play the old wrestling trope type promo where he's just, I'm the bad guy. I'm better than you. Come beat me if you can. But
right. Well, let's keep it moving like they did from Raw. So, as I said, they opened the show with the car accident scene. Tongaloa has the bloody eye area. I assume that means he was driving when the airbag went off, would be my guess. But there's chaos out there. You see Solo, you see Tala Tonga. Adam Pearce is filling in for Nick Aldis, and Kathy Kelly comes out, does an interview. Cody walks up, takes the contract that was going to be signed later in the show from Pearce, and walks off. We would see Charlotte Flair beat Raquel Rodriguez one-on-one, as we now know after the tag match from Raw that Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair will be taking on Raquel and Roxanne Perez for the women's tag team titles at SummerSlam. As I said, Stephanie Vaquer and Alba Fire were continuing part of that Chelsea line. As I said, we're going backwards, so this happened before the interference of Chelsea Green and them on Monday. Andrade and Rey Fénix are now your number one tag team for SmackDown and the Wyatt Six tag title situation. Maybe it was just me, but did any of you guys have a problem with Rey Fénix wearing a bodysuit rather than his regular gear? I mean, it just looked weird to me.
I didn't notice it. I didn't.
It was it's kind of funky, but maybe he's trying something out. I don't know. Maybe he's felt like he's got a little soft in the midsection and wants to cover it up.
Maybe.
Whatever.
Got to look like his brother a little bit more.
Well, I'm going to ask you this because we know how important this is to you because you've been clamoring for this. Are you disappointed that they've gone with Fénix and Andrade first before we're getting the Lucha Bros team first?
No, I really feel like it's got to be some sort of a build to their...
there's got to be a reason?
Unificate, or their union, right? Penta's got to be going 1-on-2 against somebody, and he comes in to save his brother. And, and now they're in... Maybe whatever. Penta's wrestling the New Day or something like that, and they're outnumbering him, and he finally shows up, and now they got a little feud with the New Day. And that's how they kind of unite. It's got to be storyline built. They can't just put them together and say, well, they're brothers, so we're going to have them wrestle now.
Can we talk about real quick?
It's got to be a surprise.
How proud Damian should be that both number one contending tag teams are Latino based?
That's why I wore the hat.
Well, one of them is Filipino, right? The other three are Mexican.
Oh,
Which one's Filipino?
One of those LWO guys is not really Mexican.
Oh,
He's playing a Mexican.
oh, he's a faker.
He's Filipino. I think he's Filipino. Yeah, one of those guys.
you would argue about the best representation Latinos have had in a while.
Damn it.
Hey, and Penta's not one of those guys in a tag team title match in a #1 contender spot.
Dude, Penta might not even be on SummerSlam.
He'll be there, but he's going to do that slow walk to get there, so you won't see him by the time it starts. So the show would end with the Cena Cody segment of the contract signing and what would ensue there. One thing I want to talk about before we get to the Cody stuff, SmackDown's moved back to 2 hours. Did you guys notice the difference? Did it feel like it flew to you, or did you feel like this was just regular SmackDown again?
How it should have been. It is way better because it didn't feel dragged out in certain areas. It's like they did what they had to do and hit the beats as quick as they could.
Yeah.
And through it. And I appreciate that just because those 3-hour ones were, man, some of those were a slog to get through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was a lot of me not watching it live and watching it on fast forward and just cutting through all the fluff and the filler and things like that.
Damien, that's where you're at too?
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't the first 2-hour episode.
This was
one, I think.
It came back after 4th of July, right?
Yeah, I think so. I've noticed it. It's going by a lot faster. It's moving along. I like it. 3 hours for SmackDown was really long. It was really tough to watch.
I think SmackDown being 2 hours is the way it should be. I don't think Raw should be 3 hours if you don't have good enough stories to tell. So
I like that Raw's 2.5, right? Like they're at
like
220, yeah, 220, 240. A little bit, you know, because we always used to love the nitros that would overrun. That was like the big deal, right? It was 2 hours and then like the little 15-minute overrun. So maybe that 2.5 hour range is probably perfect for a wrestling show.
Okay. Well, in the finishing segment, Cena comes out for the contract signing and says, hey, look, I'm doing a movie. I've talked to the higher ups. We've rented up the flagpole. And due to exhaustion, I'm not going to be at SummerSlam. If I sign the contract, that means I have to be there. So I'm not signing the contract. He apologizes and just says, hey, you know, I hope you guys all understand. Don't be mad. You'll get your rematch, but it's not happening at SummerSlam. And then goes to try and get away with it. Cody stops him, brings him back. He goes back and forth with him. John winds up with the belt where he's about to hit him with the belt again. And this time, Cody kicks him in the gut. Belt goes flying, grabs it, hits John with the belt, and then sets him up on the table. I don't understand why he did the splash with the contract in hand, but he did. And grabs John's hand and signs the contract. And then tells him that he needed to read the fine print because it will be a street fight at SummerSlam. For you, David, does this change the perspective of what you thought the outcome of this match could potentially be at SummerSlam now that you know that it's a street fight and the way they got here?
I mean, I didn't think that they were going to leave the belt on Cena all year anyway. I thought SummerSlam would be a good time where he's had an adequate run with the belt, where he's made some title defenses. It's like a legitimate 17th, and then they can move it off of him.
Right.
So no, like I kind of had a gut feeling that this is probably going to go to Cody. I think the story isn't Cody winning; it's going to be how he wins, and
okay.
that's be what comes out of this. And I don't know if you want to get into that yet or not, but
yeah, sure.
You know, like okay. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about a potential turn or double turn, and you know, like there's all these little hints and all this crap. But
right,
I don't know. I have some concerns about it though. Like I don't know if like Cody is their everyman, does every radio show, has a podcast, does every appearance. He's like the company face. He is their current John Cena in that regard.
Right,
and turn him for the sake of shock value. And look, I know that like we've sat here and talked about everything's too predictable and blah, blah, blah. That is a character where I'm like, I don't know if you make that turn because who steps into that role?
Right.
Like who actually becomes the everyday new face? Because like if he makes that turn, you have to have somebody to replace him as face of your company. And then who is it?
Right.
There's nobody.
No, here we go.
Punk. No. CM Punk. He is Mr. TKO. CM Punk is Mr. TKO.
He's not on a full-time schedule like that though.
But he can do media. He can do appearances.
What guy do you have that can be that guy for you? That can be, put on the suit and go do the appearances and smile on talk shows. And it's not just about the wrestling at that point. It's like, who is your brand?
Right.
Cody right now is the brand. And so, yeah, you can have Cena. If you do a double turn, Cena can be the brand for a few months. But if you turn Cody, that can't be a 3-month, turn and then he turns back. It's got to be long standing. And then at that point, it's like, who's the guy now? And
well, my only argument to that is Roman held the belt for 4 fucking years as a heel and did media. He didn't do all of it like Cody does, but he did do media. So it's not
got himself a Jordan brand deal too.
Yeah, which is wild. His Bloodline 12s are releasing next year.
But didn't make as much. They weren't as successful and as hot until Cody came back to the company and was that face the whole time. While
he was the champion without the belt. Yeah, that's the story of how he.
That's the thing is you don't have to be the champion to be the face of the company. Clearly,
right.
It's more to that. And so who takes that spot? That's all I want to know. If you can give me a legitimate guy to take that spot, then I would buy into that turn more.
Okay.
Jacob Fatu.
That's definitely not it. He got backlash after his last song.
Punk ass cops.
The things that David was mentioning as far as what Cody was alluding to, he posted a picture of him wearing the glasses that seemingly are the same or similar frames that The Rock wears on social media. And Cody's notorious for using social media to kind of feed the fire and kind of feed into things. And this was part of that. He also showed a picture of him holding the contract, and the watch was exposed that he was wearing on his wrist, which was the WrestleMania 40 watch, which only 4 of them exist. Roman has one, Seth has one, Cody has one, and The Rock has one. Because if you remember, when Cena turned and hit Cody, he hit him with the gold watch, which was supposed to be emulated of Dusty's watch that was the gift. So it would seem that the breadcrumbs that David was talking about and that Cody has been alluding to on social media would indicate that there's something of some significance of a tie-in to The Rock. I'll say that there was also some things that were interesting that were said and done. So Cody hitting John with the belt, that was a big deal, right? Because that was the trigger at WrestleMania that didn't get pulled, right? That was the deal. When the push came to shove, he couldn't do it, and it cost him. The other thing was signing the contract for John. Like, John said, hey, if my name's on it, I got to do it. So he did what he had to do to get his name on the contract. As this whole segment was going on, Joe Tessitore had a quote that said that Cody put virtue over victory in the rear view in this situation, as in to say that being the champion and picking up the win is better than being virtuous at this point. And David, to your point about being the company guy, about being Mr. TKO and Mr. Media, that virtuous bullshit is out the window if the championship is what's number one. So there were a number of things that got brought up with that. So for you, Damian, do you feel like it's going to be the opportunity that WWE needs for John to turn and give him that moment to finally be like, all right, they don't got to boo him no more. We get, like David said, they gave him a run. It was adequate enough. It didn't go the way that they wanted it to based on Travis Scott. Thanks a lot for that shit. But it was the opportunity. He got a legitimate run. Now Cody comes back and they change the Cody character. You get the John you love and you get a different Cody that's, getting a different coat of paint. And I will say this is another element of things that I don't think people are paying enough attention to. Every time we've had a heel or a villain champion, what happens to them inevitably at some point? They go away, right? In some instance, they go away somewhere or for some amount of time and then come back because they've earned time off, quote unquote. Cody's in the Street Fighter movie with Roman, so he's going to have to go away at some point. So if he's the bad guy, he can tell everybody to kiss his ass. I don't need you. I'm going away. I'm taking the championship. And when I'm satisfied, I'll come back. Or when you treat me right, I'll come back. So there's that element also. So for you, Damian, do you feel like this is going to be the double turn? Or do you feel like this is going to be more of an edgier, grittier Cody and only a turn for Cena.
Yeah, it's a street fight, right? So if Cody hits Cena with the belt, he's not doing anything illegal. He's not doing anything wrong. Right. He's using weapons at his disposal to beat Cena, which is a part of the match.
Right.
So I think it's going to be, like a grittier, edgier Cody, right? But he's going to stay face. I think he'll just have a little bit of attitude, which I think you kind of have to have because fans will move on from somebody that's just playing a white meat babyface character all the time. I mean, it's surprising that Cody has lasted this long. So I do see Cody winning, and then Cena necessarily not turning back face at SummerSlam, but maybe over the next couple of weeks with a promo or something like that, where he's apologetic and remorseful for his actions and saying he's ready to be the hustle, loyalty, respect guy again. I just I hope that this is not a double turn that involves The Rock, because Cody Rhodes, you can go fuck yourself if you're gonna turn and align yourself with The Rock after everything that you've been saying for the last year and a half, for the last 16 months, right? Since you started this rivalry with The Rock, it makes absolutely zero sense, and I don't care how they try to twist and turn the storyline and try to change things up to say that that Cody decided that he was wrong not to accept
his mind.
It would be completely fucking stupid if The Rock shows up to help Cody win, right? Or the double turn happens with Cody and The Rock ending up as partners. It would make zero sense in storyline, and I would probably take a sabbatical from the WWE if that happened, to be honest, because it's so stupid.
David, does that kind of trigger you as much as it does Damian?
Okay, so my only thought on that is, at least with the Rock aspect. We remember Cody was kind of getting booed at WrestleMania.
A little bit, yeah.
They wanted Cena to win.
Right.
And that's where The Rock could be like, see, the people won't always be there for you, but the money will, or, all these. The
security for your daughter, all that, yeah.
Yeah, that is where I could see that a little bit. I still struggle with how Cena turns face. I don't see it as a double turn because, I don't see... Cena hasn't started that arc yet. He would have had to have seen the start of that turn for him to complete it by SummerSlam. You know what I mean? It's not just a flip the switch type thing. Oh, I was so wrong. I was corrupted by the bell, blah, 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 whatever. Which I think is a cop-out. So
I think you're somebody...
real quick, is Cena doesn't turn at SummerSlam. I think Cena loses, but then he's going to go away for, I think, a month anyway. His next scheduled date is September, and that's because Peacemaker Season 2 comes out in August.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go do media rounds for that and all that. That comeback is going to be the start of his turn back the other way and finish the last season of his retirement tour, kind of regaining the fan trust and respect.
He's only missing 2 weeks in August. So he does SummerSlam, and then he'll do the 8th.
Go promote the show.
Yeah. So he does the 8th, and then there's a gap to the 22nd for SmackDown where he comes back. So he'll be on the SmackDown right after SummerSlam. So whatever they do with that. I'll say that for what the nonsensical idea of Cena turning back babyface, I think if he was somebody who doesn't have the career that he has and isn't on the retirement that he's on, then I would agree with that there's not a whole lot of logic behind that. You're somebody who's pointed out what the fuck is wrestling logic in certain instances. And I think that with Cena, Damian has said this 50 times on this show at this point, nobody wanted to see Cena as a heel at this point. They wanted to see it years ago when an opportunity was there to freshen his character, to do something different, to give him another layer and do something before he started going part-time, and they refused to do it for whatever reason they gave. So now the people aren't if he just magically tomorrow said, I don't want to be a bad guy anymore. I'm tired of I feel like this isn't what I thought it was. I try to start shit with you guys and all you guys did was show me love and I'm the idiot. So I should show that love back. And that's the end of the run. You know how many people would be like, I swear to God, I'll buy every shirt that they make in every town that he hits on the way out. Like,
they want to cheer for him anyway. So
yeah.
I see that. I was going to say also, I do agree with Damian that I could see an edgier Cody, but
I was going to ask, like, does that fit for you? Like, because you said, like, if they turn him that way, like, it's too far.
Because again, if you look at him as a Cena 2.0, quote unquote, Cena had edgier times in his career where he was still the face, but he did some like questionable things, or he did what he had to do to win some matches and things like that without turning. I think you can see that. Cody's shown that a little bit, like when the ladder match with Kevin Owens and like that. Like there's been those moments, or even the Randy Orton to win King of the Ring.
Right.
Like, he never initiated necessarily those tactics, but if somebody else pulled him out, he used them.
Right.
I think he could use that and still stay the face because again, nobody else is there to take that spot. Nobody else is what did Damian call it? A white meat baby face?
Yeah.
Like there's no other white meat baby face in the company that you can readily turn to.
Not male.
Yeah.
Not male. I mean, Bianca Belair is that.
No, go ahead and say it. Not that. Go ahead and say it.
She's that for the women. She's a white meat baby face for the women. And she's black, but she's white meat baby face.
Yeah. No, I mean, it don't get more clean cut than that in the women's division than her. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like she's about as squeaky clean as you can get.
Jane Cena.
Yeah, no shit. I'm kind of torn. Like there's part of me that wants to see Cody go the other direction, and whether it's this whole situation with The Rock, at least if you bring The Rock back, make it count. That's all I'm going to say. I said this before when they involved him the first time. Make it fucking count. If you're going to bring back The Rock and that's going to be part of the turn with Cody, then have him fucking involved and make it count. Don't just say, I changed my mind, I talked to The Rock, and now I'm on his team. Because it has been pointed out that Cena he said, I didn't sell my soul to The Rock. They've never announced why he was tied to him. He just said that he wasn't like that. And that in that instance, that was just his, foot in the door, so to speak, of how to get to where he wanted to get to. So there's been a lot of things left as loose ends. And so if you're going to bring The Rock back in this instance to bring Cody back the other direction in the end of all of this, then at least make it fucking count. That's what I'll say. I don't want to see The Rock necessarily, but if you're going to use it and it makes the story better because him and Cody now are there on a more regular basis, I'm not going to say full-time basis, but more regular basis, and you're actually going to get a story worth paying attention to, then fuck it. I'm in this time around. So if you're going to do it that way, then do it the right way. Don't half-ass it like you did with Cena. And I don't that's the other thing I'll say. And I saw this right before we came in to hit record. Drew McIntyre did an interview and then pointed out, I don't know if it was a podcast or just a straight interview, but was quoted as saying, thanks a lot, Travis Scott, for walking down to the ring and fucking up the whole main event, you piece of shit. So
it was on Paul's podcast.
Is that what it was? It was Impulsive?
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. So you can tell that there's definitely some validity to what they said. You guys were, all of us on the same page of this whole Jelly Roll thing, right? Like his involvement with SummerSlam and him having the tag match with Orton and Drew and Jelly and Logan. And so now what's being reported is that was actually going to be Travis Scott's spot, that it was going to be him and Cena and then Cody and whoever. And that's what they were going to do. Something similar to Money in the Bank. And that what they didn't do was because of Travis Scott, that he didn't pick up the wrestling shit like he should have. He's not committed to it, and that he's half-assed in and out of things that WWE has brought to the table for him to commit to. So, and I mean, it doesn't help that, he's got a docuseries or documentary on Netflix that doesn't exactly paint him in the best light right now. So for all of that, if you're going to bring The Rock back, people are going to get excited about The Rock being involved if he's involved. Don't just say his name. Don't just show Cody being like, yeah, no, I chose him. Show us that he's sided with him. Maybe he says that John was too soft, that John wasn't, handling it the way he should have handled it, that he wanted dominance or he wanted this out of it, and John didn't want to commit to that. He didn't want to sell his soul. Maybe that's the twist, right? That John wasn't connected to him like he wanted, that he wanted his soul. John didn't want to give it. Now people are sympathetic. and Cody gave him his. So if you're going to do it all the fucking way is what I'll say.
Yeah, I don't know about a Cody turn, but I can see like an easy way to turn Cena with The Rock maybe showing up, and after the match, Cody wins, he's walking out, The Rock shows up, attacks Cena or whatever, who's like dejected, just looking despondent in the middle of the ring. The Rock goes in and starts verbally abusing him, and so Cena gets pissed off, puts him up in the AA, hits him with the AA, walks out, raises his hands, fans get behind him, and now he's a face. And you talk about The Rock needing a champion because he's probably not going to get his own hands dirty. Drew McIntyre's right there, right? Like bring in Drew McIntyre. Now you got Drew McIntyre in the main event picture going up against John Cena, and then with a match against Cody Rhodes looming kind of thing.
Right.
Which is what we want. I mean, that's probably the position that we want Drew McIntyre to be in.
You would
as the top heel in the company, right? Line him with The Rock, and now he's the top heel. You got an edgy Cody Rhodes, you got a face Cena, everybody wins.
Do you think on this Cena retirement tour that a Rock Cena match would be worth exploring? Like if you could do all that stuff and lead it into a Rock versus Cena.
If you watch The Rock in the tag match at Mania at 40, that was over a year and a half ago at this point. And he had to have the tag match. He didn't have whatever to do the one-on-one match. We've seen the type of work that Cena is at this point. If you do those two, you're going to get the nursing home special, I believe, at this point.
Jax versus Brothers Destruction Part 2 or what?
Yeah. Well, you can get a Rock McIntyre, Cena, Rhodes, mutual respect, tag team match.
Yeah.
Maybe at Survivor Series.
Right. To kind of revisit that.
In San Diego at Petco in the baseball stadium.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, you can get there, but that's why I'm saying The Rock would need a champion. And then he could go away, right? He doesn't even have to be there. He just has to call Drew out. Drew is his new champion. The Rock can disappear again. And we just know that everything Drew's doing is he's doing it for The Rock.
Roman showed you that you can show up in a periodic way as long as your presence is still apparent on a part-time schedule. The problem we have now is there is no more periodic. Now it's sporadic, and that's different. When David, you brought this up earlier, the holes of somebody disappearing. Roman has had a problem with this for how long now? Going back to WrestleMania last year, that after he lost to Cody, he disappeared for 4 months, then came back and then went away, and then came back and then went away, and then came back. There was never a time where while he was away, you still felt his presence, because when he did it through the bloodline, Heyman, the Usos, they were carrying out orders. Heyman was the voice of Roman when Roman wasn't there. Now you don't have all that shit, and now it's different, because when Drew is in a match with Punk and we see what they're doing in there, and even Punk's not there every week, but he's there every other week. And then Drew shows up here and there. Their presence are being felt, but they're not fighting every week, but they're there. Then you're seeing guys where you go, okay, well, Roman's gone. All right, so he's going to take a break. Okay, cool. Well, now The Rock's involved. Well, he's going to take a break. He's gone. He's filming a movie. Well, now Cena's back. It's a retirement tour, and he's only got certain dates, so he's going to come and go. All right, well, we're going to set that up where it's spread out, kind of balanced, right? Nope. He's going to disappear for the entire front half of the fucking year, and then in the back half, you're going to go, well, he's got some more dates. Like, they've done it well, and now they're doing it shitty. So I don't think that if you're going to have situations like this, that it's worth exploring if you're going to have people that are A, older and now they work differently, but B, that they're not there enough to tell the fucking story. I mean, that's a big problem.
Do you think this is something TKO likes? That there's so much talent, right, that they can let these guys, these Romans and Cena's and even Cody, right, if he wants to start doing this now, where they can be part-timers, Punk, where they can show up sporadically for the big shows and let all the young talent carry the Raws and SmackDowns and those middle, lower PLEs, and then they carry it, and then these guys show up to like sell out stadiums like MetLife. Let me ask, this is something that TKO's happy with?
I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to ask you this, because you're a boxing, combat sport, MMA guy. TKO is UFC, WWE combined, right? So if you look at the UFC and their blueprint of how they track pay-per-views and how they track fights, do you still today have what you once had with the UFC, where an entire card is stacked, whether it's a McGregor, a Diaz, a Tito Ortiz, a Chuck Liddell, a John Jones, all these guys, Jeremy Stevens,
Who the
Ronda,
fuck is that guy?
like all of these guys, that Eddie Alvarez, the Rafael dos Anjos, like all these guys were, when you saw a card, you were like, holy shit. But now, when you see a card, I just watched UFC last weekend. It was Dustin Poirier's retirement fight. Him and Max Holloway. Great fight. I loved, a couple of the fights on the main card. But outside of a handful of guys from the undercard to the main card, I couldn't tell you who 3/4 of those motherfuckers were. And I think TKO is okay with shit like that because you're banking on the weight of the stars. And WWE, you have a built-in star base with these fans. Like, yes, WWE has to make the stars, but when you look at UFC versus WWE, the stars are already there. You're seeing those stars weekly versus the UFC where you're seeing them once every 3 months to fight. So you have, in their mind, I would assume, you have more equity to where if these guys disappear for a little while, well, it's okay because, like you said, they're going to sell out the stadium because people are clamoring to see them. They're not used to not seeing them for extended
they're attractions now.
Mm-hmm. So I think that TKO is about that. And if you look at the UFC, that's more the blueprint of what the WWE is becoming.
I mean, they just talked about how Houston sold out Monday Night Raw after they announced Roman Reigns was going to be there.
Right.
Like they had sold an extra like 5,000 tickets or something like that as soon as they made that announcement. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, if SummerSlam's coming up and we haven't seen Roman Reigns wrestle since WrestleMania, right? I mean, that's the last time he had a wrestling match.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything at Backlash or anything like that.
No.
So you're gonna want to tune in to see what he looks like, right? So, I mean, good for those guys if you can get to that point to where you only have to work a part-time schedule and make a lot of money. While the other guys do all the dirty work leading up to that.
Right.
But I guess that gives those guys a chance to star. I mean, I don't know if a guy like Penta gets over as much as he is right now, as fast as he is, if those guys are around full-time wrestling and doing things.
Right.
So
okay, I'll ask you this as we wrap.
And the women, right? And the women are all getting a lot of action on the cards.
I'll ask you this as we start to wrap things up. When you look at a guy like a Penta, let's say, or a Gable, let's say, these guys who, even a Dom at this point, that they're good, but they're not the main event, whether it's yet or not, whatever. But the rub that you get from these superstars is what helps elevate these guys, whether it's multiple matches or a one-off or a collaboration, whether it's a tag team. Do you feel, because I kind of feel like this the more I thought about it today as I was taking notes for the show, that we've lost that rub as a whole, that like it's not gone, but because of the scarcity of how much you're seeing some of these stars, that they're only showing up in the big match moments, that these guys aren't getting the rub. Like when you think of Cody and Ted DiBiase Jr. running with Orton when they were younger, they were getting the rub from him. When he was in Evolution, he was getting the rub from Rick and Hunter. Like you were getting these guys that were working with main event teams or main event individuals on a more regular basis, and it elevated them to where you started to view them as somebody who was more important from where they originally were. And now,
Jey Uso.
Yeah. And now, because of how less often we see them, there's not as much of that rub going on because when they're there, they have to work with another star to sell out the stadium show. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I mean, so yeah, I think it might be harder to get like a Dominic Mysterio to the level of where Jey Uso is right now without him constantly getting the rub from a Roman Reigns or a Seth Rollins or whoever, or CM Punk, because there's a ready-made CM Punk Dominic Mysterio storyline ready to go. These guys are but CM Punk's not enough around. If he was around every single week, they could do a tag team match. They could do whatever, where they're around each other more often, and Dom would be elevated for it. Instead, Dom's sitting there, faking an injury. He's gonna have a match with. I love AJ Styles, the Hall of Famer and whatnot, but not at that level of Punk or Seth or Roman. So
fair enough.
It's harder to elevate them to that level. So we'll see if this does backfire in the next few years, where they're like, well, we don't have guys that can sell out stadiums anymore.
Right. The star building won't necessarily.
Because I will say they are running out of those guys in the UFC, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they can sell out some arenas, but do they have anybody that they could go into a big stadium and sell it out?
Right.
I don't
No, I
know,
agree with that.
because I mean, back in the day, like you said, to your credit, when you had Conor McGregor in the main event, there was a future Hall of Famer like Shogun probably leading off the pay per view,
Right.
and now I don't even know who the hell is on the cards anymore. I
Right.
saw the fight. I saw the main event, the UFC, the Holloway Poirier fight. I saw that. I didn't watch anything else.
Yeah. I mean, it makes it easy to go, I don't know who that is. Why would I tune into that? I'll just wait till the end.
Yeah.
For sure. David, your thoughts on this as somebody who's more casual? Like, the stars mean something to you because that's how it draws you in to be like, is this worth watching?
So you talk about like how the rub is becoming less so. I was trying to sit here and think. So what's a solution to this? Like, how do you build new stars with part timers? Do you start just like, I mean, you get a little bit here and there. Is it everybody like? Do you go faction versus faction to where the star doesn't have to, like you said, with Roman in the bloodline, he didn't have to be there every week, but he gave the rub to those guys because they were a faction or, of the bloodline. Right. Do you get a guy like CM Punk to have a faction? Do you get a guy like, Cody to have a faction of some sort, a group to where he can give a rub, but still have those star versus star encounters and get the best of both worlds?
It's not necessarily him having a faction, but like when Carmelo Hayes got called up from NXT and he had that series of matches with Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
That's him getting the rub, like from a main event guy, where later on they can revisit that and say, like, he's ready.
Right,
like,
but
they can push him.
If Cody's not full time, we're talking about the issue of stars not being full time. Cody's as close to a full time star as there is outside of Seth before he got hurt,
Right. And, so who's getting that rub anymore? Like, so if Roman's not there, if Punk is not there, if they're not wrestling on Monday Night Raw, who's you know what I mean? Like,
well, that's he's saying, like, so what's the solution because of
the solution is like you have the faction aspect or the group aspect to where they can give them that rub here and there and get in those matches and get those eyeballs to build those stars. Because the problem is especially in the men's division, is you're not getting stars built organically. Like they're not coming from NXT and shooting to the moon the way that the women are with like Vaquer and Julia and Roxanne Perez, the three notable recent ones. But like you're not getting that from the men's side. So what do you do to fix that?
I will say this, that the way that Roman was able to do that with the Usos, you also have to take into account and Sammy, where things that not everything's a home run, right? Like look what happened to Jimmy. Jimmy's more notable, but he's not on the level of Sammy, and he's definitely not on the level of Jay. You hope that he can get to a U.S. title or an Intercontinental title, but you don't look at Jimmy and go, world champion. I could see it. So there's going to be those instances, number one, which means that whoever you have that's the leader of the faction can't just be a main event person in general. Because to me, the reason why that worked so well was because of what they did with Roman along the way. That they made him unbeatable, then they built around him, and then those guys became cool by association, and then they had to follow his orders and execute what he wanted. And when they didn't, he made sure they knew of their shortcomings, so they had to step their game up and had to elevate and get a win or do whatever was necessary to get the win for the family. So by association, go ahead.
Who's the last male star that's built themselves up without some sort of faction rub or something like that from a previous superstar?
Who'd you say, Damien?
And I will say, like, okay, with the caveat of like AJ Styles, Cody Rhodes, Penta, these guys who built their brand in
elsewhere.
Gunther's the guy that came from NXT UK, NXT main roster.
Yeah, Gunther's probably the most notable.
Well, Drew McIntyre had to leave and come back, but Drew McIntyre was the guy that
tried the faction route and came back and all that. Owens and Chris Jericho, and like he got rubs from other guys coming up before Kevin Owens became more of a star. Like all these guys had, even Jordan freaking was an understudy in a lot.
That's like just a traditional thing, right? You have to, when you're young and up and coming, you have to be paired up with somebody.
Right.
And that's the problem. guys aren't getting paired up anymore.
No, yeah, you're having new guys paired with new
Austin
guys.
Theory and Morgan Waller.
Or
what's
Grayson Waller, you mean?
Yeah, Morgan Wallen. Grayson
Yeah,
Waller.
Morgan Wallen.
Yeah, Morgan Wallen.
He'd be a better
Those
rep.
two guys, they couldn't elevate each other, right? They were tag team champs, but they could never elevate each other.
Hey, listen, he's a Australian country singer. You don't know him.
But that's the problem and none of these guys are getting attached to any of these stars that were already like certified stars and getting those rubs that way. And that's what
Rhea Ripley. I mean, does she count? Is she somebody that built herself up?
He said guys, but yeah, she's another one that did it on her
Bianca
own.
Bianca Belair.
Yeah.
And I would argue, for whatever reason, the women have a way better success rate of building themselves. I don't know if that's because, honestly, it's probably because wrestling is a male-dominated like fandom,
right?
So that helps. Was just calling it what it is, a spade here. But the guys, like, they generally need that rub, or like if Cody even has like an understudy or a buddy or a friend, or I don't know, like somebody that he builds up that's a mid-carder type thing.
Mm-hmm.
They need that. Even as an opponent, like LA Knight needed the opponents to build him up. He needed Roman, that little rivalry with Roman, to kind of elevate him to the next level and things like that.
So LA Knight's a good example. He's somebody that just kind of came over organically based on the way that he talked, and
he was in TNA before that.
He was in TNA, but
yeah,
but it wasn't. I mean, even in NXT, I mean, it was like the whole mistake of making him. What was his name? Max Dupree. And then they changed him back to LA Knight, and the fans just went crazy for him after that.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, you gotta have stars, and you gotta like attach yourself to that star, right? I mean, that's just an old thing. Like Evolution's a perfect example. I mean, is Randy Orton and Batista who they are if they weren't with Triple H and Ric Flair for that amount of time?
I mean, I definitely don't think so.
I guess John Cena would be the answer to your question, David, where he wasn't in a faction, group. He just in a group or anything like that. And he just kind of he got hot with his rapping, and then
he's a once in a lifetime type talent.
Yeah,
you can't rely on these once in a generation talents to carry your business all the time. Sometimes you're going to have to manufacture that.
Yeah, it's true. Well,
or just go bring them back to a different company.
That's why they're picking on TNA. So one last thing, and then we'll wrap this up. I watched TNA Slammiversary pay-per-view this last weekend. Thanks to the kind people on Discord, they streamed it. I will say this partnership with WWE has been fruitful in a number of ways, but production is not fucking one of them. If WWE needs some help, some way or another, it's to talk to TNA and say, hey, listen, we need to, if you're going to put our stars on there, then our production has to count. In multiple segments on this show, you could hear the producer behind the camera counting them in, going like 3, 2, 1, you're live. Like, it was rough. It was rough. They had an attendance record for a TNA event. Anybody want to guess the number that was for a TNA event?
12,000?
No.
10,500.
No. 7,000 and change. That was the monster number. They did some good stuff, but again, they pulled some TNA shit with Trick Williams and Joe Hendry and Mike Santana. They were in New York. Everybody seemed to think that Mike Santana should be the TNA champion, and they let Trick Williams walk away with the belt. And JC Jane won their women's belt, so now she has the NXT title and the TNA title. So way to go, TNA. That whole partnership needs to be, there's been a lot of fruitful things because of it, but it's still pretty rough. I will say this as a bit of a comparison, and I don't know if it's just the money factor, maybe that's what it was, but after watching All In minus the main event and then watching Slammiversary, I left more satisfied watching All In than I did Slammiversary. And obviously, like I said, that's minus Hangman versus Moxley. And there was a lot of shit you could. What's that?
That I was more satisfied not watching either of them.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm just happy I didn't pay for them. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. Well, they need to. TNA. I love what they're doing with WWE. They need to take their titles back to TNA and keep them off of WWE wrestlers. Like.
Yeah. It's not helpful.
It was cool. It's not. I don't think so. But I'm curious. I'm gonna go watch NXT tonight and see what the Undertaker and Trick Williams do.
I could tell you, but we'll save that.
Is it worth watching?
Nope.
Okay.
Not if you give a shit about 10 minutes. So if you're worried about not being able to get that 10 minutes back. Okay. So is there anything that you guys feel like we missed that we need to touch on before we get the hell out of here?
Judgment Day, we didn't really talk about them, but they don't have a whole lot going on. No, I think we're good.
David, will you be back for predictions next week?
Yeah, I'll be here for predictions.
Dang, 3 weeks in a row.
Like his calendar just cleared up a little bit.
It's Christmas in July.
Hey, I'm just gonna follow Roman's schedule from here on out.
Whoa, that could be a problem.
Look into Alexa Bliss's schedule, see what she's up to.
There you go. David, what do you have to tell the people on the way out?
See you guys next week.
I'll see you next week. Damian?
I got nothing.
He's got nothing.
I got Settle.
There you go. Settle me out. We'll see you guys next week on another episode of the Grab a Hold podcast.